Hello guys, I'm Dee, watercolor artist. Welcome back to my channel. Are you tired of painting pine trees in a zigzag form which lack depth and dimension? Then today let's explore 3 types of pine tree which will have a snowy effect and also make it look more realistic. The first pine tree would be using wet on wet technique. I'm wetting the paper with water and light pigment so that you can see how I'm making an outline of a pine tree on the paper. Do not wet the paper excessively, else it will create blooms when you start adding pigment. Using a darker value of green like sap green, dropping it into the center part of the tree, the water and pigment will blend and create a nice snowy effect. It's essential to maintain white spacing. Mix indigo into green to get the darkest value and dropping it at the center as shadows. You have to move quickly here, else the paper will start to dry. With my size 4 round brush, I'm making the pointed tip edges to depict the pine needles. Do not fill the entire tree with green because we still want to have the snowy effect. With the darkest value of brown, paint the tree trunk and connect it to the top. Always paint the tree trunk in the end to make it look more natural. Moving on to our second tree, paint the pine needles as pointing out. I have diluted the darker value of green with water, so the base layer has lighter value of pine needles. The lighter base layer adds depth to the pine tree when we drop in darker value of green later on. While the base layer is wet, paint the darker pine needles. If you closely observe, the center part of the pine tree is always dark, so we are going to make that a bit darker either with dark green, or you can also add a bit of Payne's Grey or Mars Black later on. I quite like the way this tree has turned out. We just need to make it more darker in the center. We can mix Payne's Grey and paint the center part of the foliage. Use sepia to paint the tree trunk and also connect it to the center and the top. One thing is to avoid creating a straight line in between. Usually the foliage covers the tree trunk. So if you paint a straight tree trunk in the beginning or later, it's going to take away the natural feeling of the tree. Your second tree is ready, guys. Just spruce up those pine needles in the end. For the last tree, I am using dark green and painting the skeleton of the pine tree. Maintain white space in between. Now take a damp brush and wet the bottom part of the foliage just like I am doing. It's going to create that beautiful snowy effect. Use a darker value of green mixed with indigo and drop it into the center for shadows. While the paint is still wet, it will create different tonal values of green, and that is what we are trying to achieve with this technique. You can add dots and line markings in the end to depict the pine needles. Finally, paint the tree trunk just like we did with the others, and then connect it in between. So that's 3 different techniques to paint pine tree, and also we have created a snowy effect without using white paint or white gouache. If you've enjoyed this, please support my channel by hitting subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.